Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King, and today I'm back with part 4 of What If Naruto Was Rimuru Tempest. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual. Share this to all of your friends on your social media platform. And also guys, don't forget to go ahead and check out the other What Ifs over the other channels. Yes, that's correct guys, I indeed have 3 more channels which I post What If on every single day for you guys to enjoy. And also guys, if you haven't seen it yet, I post a brand new episode of What If Naruto had Uchiha and the Soul King abilities, so go ahead, check out that and enjoy guys. So without further ado or wasting any more time, how about we begin this now guys? So the last part we left off, Itachi found out, which led to a shocking moment for Naruto. As they moved from the spot, Naruto mind went through various ways to get rid of this situation. From downright eliminating Itachi, something that he wouldn't do, but all of the options went through his mind. However, Naruto actually sat down and talked to him. As he felt this weight, this giant weight lifted off his shoulder that he had no idea that he was carrying around. He felt it lift off and vanish away. As Naruto told him everything, Itachi realized that Naruto has been through so much. His only regret was that Naruto chose to take this burden on himself. That he didn't allow him to do it, but Naruto saw the outcome of what would happen. Running the scenarios in his mind, Naruto knew what would have happened if Itachi had taken on this burden, so he didn't allow it to happen. They went to speak with the Hokage regarding this, and Hiruzen decided to cover it up, which was condemning him in it as well. After all, if it came public that he knew and did not do anything about it, the populace would turn against him immediately. Yes, they would not hesitate to turn against him, marking him as an enemy of the people. However, that was not going to happen. Thus, they were going to keep it quiet. Naruto was placed on Team 7 given the new acclamation of his abilities. Kakashi was the one suitable to handle this. On Team 7, Naruto proved to be much more understanding and smart than Kakashi ever thought. Naruto could have gotten the bells rather easily, but he chose to work with his team, knowing that was the right thing to do. As they got through, after a couple of months they went towards the land of Wave. They ran into the Demon Brothers. Naruto resisted his cold, wicked attitude that he showed enemies to spare Sakura the violent truth of the world. Despite her being a kunoichi, it was not something that she was ready for yet. When the time finally came for them to make a decision, Naruto wanted to hear what she had to say. She was a part of this team and she had a right to put her input in. She felt happy that he thought about her and not just agree with the others. She was nervous, but she knew with all of them together they could get it done. So with that, they headed towards the land of Wave. Tazuna was grateful to them as they ran into Zabuza and Momokai. They took Zabuza on. As Kakashi got captured, it was then that Naruto showed that he was leagues stronger than they originally thought, as he easily freed Kakashi. With that said and done, Naruto stand back and allow Kakashi to prove why he was their sensei. Haku ended up saving Kakashi though, and Naruto allowed it to happen. When he met Inieri, Naruto actually helped the young child a lot. So much so that Tsunami was grateful. When he met Haku, Naruto was trying to understand. Why would someone like her work for him? Haku was pretending to be a guy, given the kind of profession that she was in and the things that she had to do in this world. It was the best thing to do. As Haku was ready to fight Naruto to sacrifice her life, but Naruto did not desire her death. He was just trying to understand. And she allowed him to understand as Naruto sat down and hear what she had to say regarding the subject, as he bind her in chains to make her talk. Naruto did not attack her, he simply let her go. When the day came, Naruto handled Gato's little flunkies as he made his way towards the bridge. Upon arriving there, Naruto quickly got to work, showing why he was the stronger amongst the two, as he immediately disarmed the Mirus before getting to work. He knocked Haku out and brought her over, but Zabuza proved that he was a wicked person by showing that he was willing to cut through Haku like it was nothing. After that, Naruto's words cut him deeper than he ever thought any blades or any weapon would. They cut him deep into his very soul, which made him take a huge look on his life, and the life that he was taken away from Haku. Haku begged Naruto to let her go, so she could help as Zabuza was injured, but Naruto understood what Zabuza wanted and he was selfish after all. Zabuza fended off against all of Gato's people before killing Gato. With that said and done, he quickly started to move back, but he fell, only for Naruto to intervene and brought him for him to say his final words. He had to knock Haku out because of the state that she was in. As Naruto made sure that the others weren't a problem, he got rid of each and every one of them. He erased them, just showing the kind of power that he had at his disposal, that he was not someone to be trifled with. Led Kakashi to believe in just how powerful Naruto truly was. But the village was safe, and Naruto had someone else to think about now as he looked down towards the unconscious Haku. So yeah guys, basically let's play off, you guys can switch across the play, check it out for yourself. So this way we jump right into this brand new episode. Let's begin this now guys. The moment she regained consciousness, the moment she came to, as her eyes focused on the surrounding area, he was the first person that she saw. Everything came rushing back. What he took from her? Rage. He stopped her from saving him. Haku did not hesitate as she leaped forward, knocking Naruto down to the ground. She wasn't a person that used her fists. However, in the state that she was in, she did not care. She slammed her fist across his face, tears leaking from her eyes. He took the one thing in the world to her that made sense, the one thing that mattered to her. She punched him again and 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 again. She punched him until she was exhausted, hoarse with rage, tears running down her cheek. Are you finished? Naruto's words anger her even more. Summoning her chakra, she created 2 needles made from ice and drive them towards his heart without hesitation, hoping to end his life, to strip away what he stripped from her. Her rage had overtaken her sense of rationality. The only thing she wanted was to make him suffer. However, just like with the punches, it did nothing. It did nothing to him. Naruto pulled himself up, causing Haku to fall to the ground. As he dusted himself off, completely fine without a bruise or a mark, Haku just sat there on the ground, realizing that she could not kill him. There wasn't much point anyways. Without Zabuza, there was nothing left for her in this world. Naruto placed his hand on the ground as Haku rose up. A bench, made from stone, was formed underneath her. As Naruto sat right there, I stopped you from saving Zabuza's life, and for that you hate me. Yes, she said. There was no emotion in her tone. And there is nothing that will ever change how the way I feel about you. I can't kill you, but I want you to die, she said. Because you took the one thing in this world that made sense to me away. If it wasn't for you, I could have helped. I could have saved them. Perhaps you're right, said Naruto. I told you that I was a bit selfish, and I wanted you to join me. I believe that your potential was being wasted in the life that you live. Haku laughed, but there was no humor in her tone. You want me to join you after what you did to me? It seems like you're even more crazy than I am. Perhaps, Naruto said. However, Zabuza did not want to live anymore. Don't you dare say his name, she said, anger leaking in her tone. My words were much more compelling than I thought. And I wasn't the only one that saw it. It just took him a longer time. I told you that. The life that you're living is not a life. Throughout the battle, as I spoke to Zabuza, he realized it as well. Naruto said as he thrust his hand out and grabbed Haku by the head. The moment she blinked, she found herself in a strange space. Where am I? You're in my mind, said Naruto, as he appeared beside her. Shh, watch. A scream appeared in front of them. A scream off the bridge. While Haku was out cold, before she had woken up to try and stop him. As Naruto was, asking the man how could he live with himself, being the kind of person that would cut through, someone that would devote their own life for him. As Haku stood there as she watched everything that transpired in front of her eyes, the emotions that she never got from Zabuza, as she saw herself waking up, confused to the whole situation, seeing Zabuza ready to sacrifice his life, as she begged and pleaded to be let go so she could help. He didn't want your help, said Naruto. He realized just how much he's been a burden on your life, Naruto said, showing the final moments. As Zabuza's final words, Haku listened very carefully and just watched him. If you keep on following me, your life will be in constant jeopardy and danger. I know that you're not like what I am. Every single time, you do it because it's my will, never yours. And all you want to do is to make me happy. In turn, though, that will make your life non-existent. And I've now just realized the burden I've been on you. And I don't want to be that burden anymore. So go, live your life without me being a constant burden. Zabuza's words were so faint by the end that Haku did not hear these, but Naruto did rather clearly. The tears once again came, as she found herself on the seat once again. She realized that a grave was in front of her, and Zabuza's blade was there as a tombstone. Naruto had buried the man. Haku cried as Naruto sat there, not doing much, simply allowing her to let it all out. After a few minutes, she leaned back. There were no more tears. The last time she cried like that was when she lost her mother and was forced to kill her own father because of his actions against her. Why? She said, turning towards Naruto. Why? Why do you care so much about me? You don't even know me. Why would you tell Zabuza that you will take up my burden, she said. As she saw everything in Naruta's mind, he looked at her. Everyone thinks that I'm an all-around wonderful person. The people that are close to me. However, I don't think that I am, said Naruto. There are some thoughts in my head that are so dark. Most people would grimace at them. Things I want to do to people that wrongs the ones that I care about. Things I want to do to people that even think about hurting those who are close to me. The only people that gave me the love and affection that I was raised with. I've done so much already. I know so much. I understand so much. My hands are stained with bloods that could never be completely cleansed. I go through life knowing that I'm the cause of many people's misery. And a part of me does not truly care about that. And I sit and wonder, what kind of monster am I? Do I lack the empathy that is needed to completely be so callous about the emotion of others' suffering? So I try my best to help where I can. And from the moment I saw you, I knew that you were also a troubled soul. I told you that I was selfish and I wanted to help you. But you were stuck to Zabuza, so I could not. My words affected him more than I thought because deep down he knew how much he's taken away from you by trying to be there for you and trying to keep you at arm's length. Because you see, these things that we call emotion, they can be truly problematic sometimes and interfere with certain decisions. That is why most people forego their emotions and choose to simply do what is necessary. Naruto said as he got to his feet, from the moment I made up my mind that I was going to help you, I was determined to do so. And I made Zabuza a promise. So yes, hate me, plot to kill me if you desire, but I will respect the wishes of a dying man and ensure that you get to live a life that Zabuza company wouldn't allow you to live, said Naruto. As he started to walk away, leaving Haku to say her final goodbyes to Zabuza, she looked at Naruto's back as she looked down towards the grave. Was this truly what you desired for me in your final moments? After all these years? And this is what was truly inside of your heart? And all this time I thought my only purpose in this life was to be your shield and your tool. But you truly cared about me. I just hate that. You had to die for me to truly find out, she said, looking down sadly at his grave. Time skip. They left the land of Wave, with the bridge being completed. Unknowingly, the bridge was named after Naruto. It was because he inspired Iniri. And the boy came up with a name of the one that helped them, the one that gave him back hope. As they were making their way, Sasuke got close to Naruto and whispered, as he didn't get the chance to speak to him while everything was going on. So, what's her deal, he said. Is she gonna live with us, he asked, curious about how things were going to play out. Yes, that was all that Naruto said, as Sasuke looked towards Haku, who was accompanying them. He was iffy about the whole situation given that she and him had fought. Well, at least it helped him awaken his Sharingan, something that he's been desperately looking forward to for some time now. He can go home and brag about it. When they got back to the village, Hiruzen was surprised, seeing the newcomer along with the group. He had Kakashi explain the mission details as the members stood there. When it came to Haku, Naruto was the one that stepped up, that she would be taking housing within the Uchiha clan for the time being. Hiruzen knew that Naruto did not talk to Itachi or anyone else about this. However, Naruto was going to bring the problem head on. Not that it would be a problem. The Uchiha clan had changed drastically. Those who would have been against this in the past, wanting to keep the Uchiha blood pure, they were no longer with them, courtesy of one individual. Hiruzen could not get involved when it came to clan politics, however. Haku did not bring anything that came regarding any outside baggage. The thing was, Haku was a child when she was taken from Kiri. She was never a ninja of the village. She was never registered in the village entirely. She's not a missing nin, which led that she's a free person. So, inducting her in the clan wasn't something that was hard to do. It was just up to the leader of said clan. Bringing her back to the compound, Haku was mostly quiet as they made their way there. Her gaze was focused on Naruto though. The fact that he was doing all of this for her, promise or not. She understood what he said though. However, most of what he said had complicate and confuse her in the terms of the way he said it. As the way she saw it, these people around here are his family. However, when she realized that his name was Naruto Uzumaki and not Uchiha, she realized that he was too accepted in this clan by these people. As they arrived, it was her and Naruto alone as she saw the clan head. He looked extremely young, but he had an intimidating feature about him. As they sat down there, Naruto explained the situation. After he was finished, Itachi told Naruto that he wished to speak to Haku alone. Naruto stepped out, showing no hesitation. "Why do you wish to reside here?" Itachi said, "From what I'm getting, Naruto is the one that killed the most precious person to you. Why should I allow you to reside here when your intentions are clearly to take his life?" Haku looked at him. "He told me if I desired to kill him, I should go ahead. I tried, but I was unsuccessful. He doesn't seem to take normal damage as most people do. I did try to kill him, because he did take the one person in this world that meant everything to me. However, he also showed me something I never thought I would ever receive from that person, because I never thought I was that important to them. I've always saw myself as nothing but a tool, but he showed me that I was cared about. In his own way, it was just hard for him to express the emotions that he felt for me. It's just a shame that I had to wait until he died to find out. Let me into your clan or not, I myself am not sure what I want to do, or how I'm going to move forward with my life after this. I never imagined myself alive without Zabuza-sama. I never imagined myself alone. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I have a purpose anymore. And something like that could be a real downer to your clan. A person without a purpose or a goal, without an ambition, without a reason to keep on living. I suppose I'm just a waste of space. You can stay." She looked up rather surprised. Itachi simply looked towards her. In your eyes, what Naruto did was horrific and bad. In his eyes, he believed that he was saving you, but he took someone away from you. And I cannot justify his actions even though Zabuza was your friend and his enemy. After all, if he had released you, there's a good chance that Zabuza would be alive right now. However, there are some people in this world that realize they're hurting others without truly understanding how they're doing so. And Naruto has a way of bringing out things out of people without them even noticing. I've heard about the demon of the hidden mist, the kind of man that he is. And yet Naruto was able to melt his heart for you to see what truly lie behind the ice that he possessed. I'm not sure what you want to do. I'm not sure how you're going to go about doing it. But if there's anyone that can help you, it is him. Besides, turning you away will only lead to him nagging me constantly, Itachi said, cracking a little joke. Haku actually smiled slightly. It simply came out of nowhere. She didn't know what it was, but this person was so understanding. His words did not sound emotional, but it was like he was speaking to her heart itself. He was nice. Time skip. Getting the accommodations for Haku was rather easy, as she was there sleeping in the house. The clan house was enormous after all, one of the spare bedrooms. She sat by the window simply gazing at the moon. She left her room and made her way straight towards the room that she saw Naruto went in. Upon arriving there, she looked down towards him as he was sleeping. She looked down towards him and just watched him, as she noticed a weapon pouch on the table. She picked up one of the kunais. This was her chance to exact her revenge. This was her chance to kill him. As she simply looked at him, as she thought about Zabuza's final words to her, to live her life, to be happy. The pain was here right now, but perhaps the pain would not last forever. She placed the kunai back in its pouch as she turned her back and started to walk away, leaving Naruto's room. The moment she was gone, Naruto opened his eyes, fully awake. He wasn't sleeping. The next morning, Naruto saw Haku speaking with Mikoto in her garden. Mikoto was all too happy to help Haku through this situation that she was currently going through. She didn't want to talk about anything regarding that, and it was for the best. However, it turns out that Haku also liked gardening, having never had the time for it because of the situation that she had going. So Mikoto was all too happy to allow her to, well, help, as it was building a common ground between the two. Sasuke was still not so sure yet, as he was keeping an eye on Haku, believing that she still might be a threat. Team 7 continued on with their training and their mission. Upon coming home the second day, Naruto saw Haku standing there, as he made his way towards her. Despite the fact that they were not too long ago enemies, they spoke so casually, like they know each other for a very long time. Aren't you going to say anything? I know you want to, she said. It was her clothing. Mikoto felt like it was best if she chose her identity as who she wanted to be. She no longer had to hide who she really was because of the life that she lived. Her clothing was drastically different, no longer all covered up, strapped down as she once were. She looked different. Before, she looked like a person without a gender, but now you can clearly tell that she was a girl. What can I say? You look different, said Naruto. I take it that Mikoto dragged you to go shopping, said Naruto. She tend to do that sometimes. Even now, Haku said. Naruto sighed. Even now. She believed that it's her duty. I'll let you in on a bit of a secret. She even buy a shirt or pants here or there for Itachi sometimes. He has a really horrific fashion sense. Not many people know this, but Mikoto know how to dress people rather well. As both of them chuckled, Haku was surprised. However, her laughter quickly died out. What am I doing? She said. What do you mean? Said Naruto. How can I just stand here pretending like I'm a part of your world? Like I'm a part of this? I'm not. And yet, why does it feel so easy to blend in? For the first time in my life, I'm no longer worrying about missing names come to take my precious person away. I no longer have to worry about seeing things that would make most people puke at the sight of it. There are really bad, horrible people in this world that choose to make others suffer just for their own greed and accomplishments, for no particular reason. And yet here I am now, things are just so different. With you of all people, someone I even tried to kill. And not just once, she said. I never had an identity of myself. Even if I had one, I lost it a long time ago. I've been a tool for as long as I remember. How can I be Haku ever again? How can I be a person? She felt a hand on her shoulder as she looked up towards Naruto. You're not a tool, he said. As he reached out and pulled out a kunai, this is a tool. You believe that killing your emotions and doing as you're told makes you a tool, but you're wrong. Because you are a person. You are Haku Yuki. You might have lost your name for some time, but you are still here. You are Haku Yuki, the last member of the Yuki clan. And nothing will ever take that away from you. Haku felt strange at his words, as Naruto was subconsciously changing Haku without even knowing what he was doing. She felt much lighter, like a weight had been lifted away. When she went to sleep that night and woke up the next morning, Haku screamed. It's been a long time. She hasn't screamed since she's been a child. Both Naruto and Sasuke came barging into the room, as Sasuke seemed to have just woken up, ready to fight. Haku turned to face Naruto and Naruto saw the difference. Her hair had turned white like snow. Her hair was no longer as well going down into her back, and her eyes were a crystal shade of blue. Her features were different as well. Her face looked more, well, immaculate. That was the only word that Naruto could use to describe her. Her skin looking more radiant, drawing attention to herself. Sasuke's cheeks turned red, as she was so much more beautiful. Haku didn't understand. She even seemed to have slimmed down slightly, more than before, but her body remained intact, healthy in all the right places, looking down towards her chest. She had no idea what the hell happened. She was 15 years old and yet she looked like she had aged 2 years in one night. Her height had not changed though. However, she was all around more extremely gorgeous. Oh, what the hell happened? Sasuke said, as Naruto was conversing with the great Kurama. And he realized what happened. Naruto was stunned. I can really do that? He spoke to Kurama. I think this is my fault, said Naruto. What did you do? Haku said. Time skip. It turns out that Naruto words had magical properties in them. In that moment, feeling lost and desperate, and Naruto words, they didn't only captivate Haku. Haku saw something in Naruto, despite the fact of the terms that they last left things off of. She saw him as a hope, something to clash onto, something to hold, something to desperately cling on to because she had nothing left. In that moment of feeling lost and having no identity, she clung on to him. And in that moment when Naruto gave her back her name, telling her that she was Haku Yuki, the magical properties of his voice end up changing her for the better. Whoa, Sasuke said. Haku was now able to manipulate ice without hand signs, which should be impossible, but she could feel the coldness coursing through her, like it was more a part of her than it's ever been before. She couldn't believe it. She's gotten a whole lot stronger. It wasn't just her beauty that increased. Her strength had grown exponentially. Naruto himself was surprised by what his words alone could accomplish. However, this only happened because Haku saw him as a lifeline. It was his soul manipulation ability going off his feelings alone. Him granting Haku back her name granted her a portion of his power, which empowered her and changed her. Just like he was able to change himself, he changed her into something much better, a better form of herself, which was now stronger and able to manipulate ice without even a shred of hand sign. She was amazed by this. When Mikoto saw her, she was shocked. Upon getting the explanation, she was more shocked into how Naruto accomplished something like that. When Itachi found out, he realized that they were dealing with something much more than they originally thought. Just what was the limits to the powers that Naruto currently had at his disposal? Were there even any? Itachi had no clue. Time skip. Naruto's next big discovery shocked everyone. Because of the Uchiha clan losing majority of their strength, losing majority of their power, revenue was also included. However, Naruto started to mass produce elixirs. That is what he named it. The flower that he found that could be used for herbs, along with the properties of his body, Naruto was able to create a mass quantity of elixirs. Hiruzen was astonished when he first laid eyes on it. Furthermore, seeing it in action, how it quickly healed wound. While it could not bring someone back from the dead, it was very close. Some wounds that were life-threatening could be healed depending on the amount that is consumed that coursed through the victim's body. The Uchiha clan network went up drastically as they started to sell it to their allies for costs. The village was also profiting in this as well, as each clan had something that they gave a profitable amount to the village for. And right now, Naruto elixirs were the top selling item. It did not take too long for word to spread about this. And let's just say that Naruto's life was now in jeopardy. Knowing that Konoha could mass produce something that was able to heal their ninjas from deadly wounds was not being taken well by the other nations. Granted, no one actually knew that it was Naruto, but his life was in jeopardy if they found out. However, it's not like they could actually kill him. If they tried, they would soon learn the error of their ways. More and more, the survivors of the clan started to see Naruto as much more than just one of them. As single-handedly, he was able to revolutionize their revolutionary stream. Yes, it was a rather shocking development. Granted, because of their less numbers, their stream was still quite active. After all, their numbers had been cut severely. The culprit of that still has not been found yet. Throughout the time, Haku was able to learn more about her new body and how her chakra functioned. After doing a scan of the girl, Naruto found out that her chakra took on magical aspects. While it wasn't as great as his, her body was producing it at a much faster rate, allowing her to recover pretty easily. Given how her techniques were now established, it allowed the girl to put her mind on something else, focus on developing new techniques that she could have only dreamed of in the past, as her skills and strength had been bolstered greatly. It was her connection to him in that moment that allowed her to take that drastic change, given the fact that it did not easily work when Naruto tried to evolve Sasuke, because Sasuke wanted to get strong on his own, not to mention him being a great rival to Naruto. Despite Naruto being leagues ahead of him, it did not take much time for the Chunin exams to come back around, as they've been a team for 6 months now, and the last Chunin exams was a bit before their last graduation. Kakashi nominated each and every one of them. Every single member of the team had shown phenomenal growth. Ever since awakening the Sharingan, Sasuke was able to gain access to more various deadly techniques, which allowed him to reach new heights. Naruto was a whole different kind of monster that was hard to explain. However, Sakura had shown promising growth, and that was because of Naruto. It was the way that he treated her. From the first time they went on their C-rank mission where he took her opinion in consideration, the girl had taken thrives to make efforts. However, Kakashi believed that he had a good idea on why Sakura was growing so quickly. Emotions were a big part of it. Kakashi wasn't sure how she felt about Naruto, if it was a romantic sense, but Naruto and her seemed to become a lot closer ever since their first mission, because in her eyes Naruto was one of the nicest person that she's ever come across. The way he encouraged people, it made them lash on to him very well, and his encouragement to make her stronger was actually making her a lot stronger. In fact, too much stronger. Kakashi was suspecting that something was abnormal here. That was until he found out a few months later about Haku's change. When questioned about it, he understood, and he wondered if a similar effect was taking place with Sakura's growth, because the girl was growing at an extraordinary rate. Kakashi was just going to stand back and see just how far and how fast she could grow, as he would just watch and observe. Meanwhile, that was taking place. Teams from all sides were coming to Konoha to participate in the upcoming Chunin exam. Such a team as one from Kumo, a girl known as Samui, a boy known as Amoy, and another girl known as Karu. They were just one of the 3 teams that were entering from Kumo. The Tishikage had no intention of sending his people to Konoha, given the past tribulation between the 2 villages. However, the Raikage seemed to be making moves. After all, he saw what was going on. Once again, Konoha was going to dominate the market, and now, with this elixir, things were going to get a lot worse for him and the other villages, as they wanted to prove to the suppliers and those that bargained for missions that they were the right choice and not Konoha. At the moment, Naruto was currently making his way, his hands in his pockets. Haku was walking alongside him. They made their way towards a massive waterfall that resided near one of the training grounds, with a waterfall nearby. This wasn't supposed to be here, because Naruto was the one that created it. Haku was rather surprised as she looked towards him. "Yes," said Naruto. "It will be helpful for your training," he said. The both of them made their way towards it, as Haku could already feel a sensation coursing through her. With her evolution, not only was her aspect over water stronger, over wind as well. She could feel the water in front of her more than before. As she held her hand out, the water started to move. She pulled back as the water fell to the ground. She looked towards it rather shocked. It seemed ice isn't the only thing that you can freely manipulate, said Naruto. She was shocked by this new development. Meanwhile, that was going on. 2 very powerful men was having a discussion. Yes, they were. One of them was known as Raza. He was current Kazekage of the Sand. The other man was Orochimaru, the Sannin. Raza was having doubts about their plan. You see, they entailed to bring Konoha down to its knees. But Raza was having doubts. Konoha's strength has not wavered that much over the years, and he feared that their actions would prove to the both of their downfall. Orochimaru, with his slipper tongue though, was convincing the man otherwise. Their meeting came to an end with Raza still unsure. Someone stood behind Orochimaru wearing a hood. "He's very unsure, my lord," the person said. "That he is. I cannot allow him to interrupt what I have planned." "What should we do?" the person asked. In our next meeting, if his opinion is still the same, we shall eliminate him, Orochimaru said. As the Sannin made his way off, the Uchihas, a very powerful clan that he seeked for some time now, had proven to be out of his grasp. Yes, Orochimaru did not want anything interrupting his plan. His goal was to get the youngest Uchiha that was currently a shinobi. That was Sasuke Uchiha, but things did not pan out as he desired, as he thought about it. He decided that he wasn't going to intervene and simply wait till the end. He was going to take what he desired. Yes, take. He's already created a powerful task force of his people to gather those that will help him reach the next stage of his evolution, and nothing will stop him. Time skip. Team 7 arrived towards the Chunin exams area. As they made their way inside of the academy, all of them were ready, even Sakura, feeling rather proud in her sudden growth and just how much work she's been putting in, and the fact that it was actually paying off. Yes, she was happy about that. So here they were now, about to go up against opponents from the outside villages, just to see how much more powerful they were. Naruto could already pick up on the people nearby. They had a run-in with a Sand team, Gaara, the Jinchuriki of the One Tails. He was very powerful. For a genin, and Naruto could feel the hate that was mustering inside of him, knowing that Gaara was going to be a problem for the others. As they made their way inside, however, it was just an illusion. Naruto managed to stop Sasuke from breaking said illusion, realizing that it was actually the first test. Someone spotted them running away. As they followed, they did not make much fuss right there, but someone was watching them though. Upon entering around the corner, they saw Rock Lee, student of Guy. He challenged Sasuke, aiming to prove that hard work was better. Sasuke accepted as both of them square off. Lee attacked Sasuke and used his superior speed, only to find himself in the wall. Lee was rather shocked as he picked himself up, not expecting Sasuke to move that fast. Perhaps, if this was a few months back, Lee would have dominated Sasuke, but Naruto was extremely fast, so Sasuke had to learn how to be fast with his eyes alone, and that was before he awakened his Sharingan. As the both of them traded blows, however, the match was put to a stop when Guy arrived and punched his own student. It then turned into a rather heartwarming scene, with the both of them hugging at a crashing waterfall. Sakura looked around. I'm not the only one seeing this, right? She said. No, you're not, said Naruto. Two options. Either we lost our mind or this guy is able to somehow bend the fabric of reality itself. Perhaps the first one, Sakura said, as Naruto nodded. The both of them separated as the world seemed to return back to normal. They met up with Kakashi, who wished them luck as they stepped inside. Perhaps a few months ago the bloodlust would have been bad, but not even Sakura was affected. As she shrugged it off, Naruto glanced towards her. I wonder, he thought to himself. Perhaps she admired you more than you originally thought. The great Kurama spoke to Naruto. Perhaps, said Naruto. He has noticed that Sakura has grown incredibly strong. Her features had not changed though. Nor did Naruto feel any of his magical essence inside of her chakra. Perhaps she was just getting the payoff of her actual training, or maybe his subtle manipulation of people around him by augmenting their strength with just his words alone was stronger than he originally thought. Kurama told him that it was because Haku had placed her fate in his hand and accepted her name from him. But nothing like that happened with Sakura, but he has noticed that The girl was much more warmer to him. Yes, she was. Granted, they weren't really friends before, but he's always been kind. But she has turned into a really generous person. Naruto gazed towards her and saw her looking at him, which caused her to turn away, looking rather embarrassed. He thought nothing of it though. Their first test was a mind trick to see if and how they would take things regarding their next level of being a Chunin. This test was extremely easy, given that Naruto possessed telepathy, and that his eyes were at least 10 times better than the Byakugan when it came to seeing things that were far away. Team 7 passed without a shred of doubt. It's not like any of them were insecure in believing that they would actually lose in the Chunin exams. That was how much confidence that they were carrying right now. Yes, big changes seem to have taken place. The second test involved a woman known as Anko Minarashi. Her bursting through the window showed that she was, well, a bit hyperactive than most. With that, they made their way towards the forest. As they were heading there, one of the Kumo teams, the strongest one that was there. Who is that kid? It was Karu, a red-headed girl that spoke up. She was watching Naruto. There was something about him that made her think that he was strong. Why, Amoy said. You have a crush on him. How the hell would I have a crush on him and I don't even know who he is? He does seem strong, Samui said, being the cooler one in the team, understanding what Karu was talking about. Huh? He doesn't look that strong to me. Then again, it is too much of a hassle to even think about that, Amoy said, having a bit of a lazy streak. You know, if you keep that crap up, you're gonna be eliminated from this exam before you know it. Come on. I did put in the hard work. It's not like I have to constantly be on guard. That is the literal definition of being a ninja, Karu said. He simply sighed and muttered something under his breath. What was that? She shouted. They got into the forest, along with the others. Each of them had been given a scroll. Naruto was given a heaven scroll as he was the one that collected it. As they came to the conclusion that they would simply go after a team. Searching out, as Naruto placed his hand on the ground, he used his abilities to manipulate the plants around him, allowing him to use them as data collection. He was able to hear through them. Naruto opened his eyes and knew exactly where they needed to go. They made their way and arrived. There was a team from the hidden grass. 2 boys and 1 girl. As they were preparing to hide and plan their strategy, Sasuke jumped down without hesitation, causing Naruto to sigh. Landing directly into the group, Sasuke knocked away them, attacking each of them in a quick succession that they weren't able to fully react. The girl landed right in front of Sakura. She turned and thrust a kunai towards Sakura's face. Sakura pulled back before knocking her hand down. The girl threw her fist as Sakura caught it and yanked her. Sakura then proceeded to slam her fist in the girl's gut, lifting her off the ground. The girl's eyes rolled back as they were completely white. The fist had knocked her out cold. When the girl's body dropped down to the ground, Sakura saw it. She had the scroll, and it was the exact one that they needed. As for Sasuke, the second in command attacked him with a strange pole. It was a staff, but Sasuke weaved and dodged away from the attacks without his Sharingan. He planned accordingly. Sasuke jumped. He immediately erased the time that was needed to come down by grabbing the pole and slamming his heel on the top of the ninja's head. As for Naruto, his opponent was punching a barrier. As he punched it with everything that he got until He tired himself out. What the hell is that? He said, as Naruto appeared right in front of his face. He looked up with a nervous sweat running down the side of his face. Mercy? He begged, which caused Naruto to merely smile at him. A moment later, Naruto arrived, with the unconscious boy on his shoulder, as he placed him along with the others. He dusted his hands off. Sakura was holding a scroll in her hand, with a smirk plastered on her face. Well, I guess we're gonna be the first one there, said Naruto. Time skip. What the hell is that? One of the Chunins questioned as he looked at the monitors. It can't be, another one said. Sitting there as they got out of their seat, as they saw a team arriving, they gazed up towards the clock on the wall. It's impossible, another one said, as he raced to call the other one outside. You must be joking, right? That would be impossible, shattering all the former scores. The new one came in as he said as he saw the three ninjas. It was a team with the Uchiha residing on it. His eyes opened wide in shock. Team 7 had shattered every single record. The longest kept record was held by Minato Namikaze when he partook in the Chunin exams. And all of the past records, they were shattered like it was nothing. Them creating a record that probably would never be broken ever again, even if they got their scroll early. The fact that they were able to bypass the monsters. The fact that they were able to get across the tracks. Well, there were two things. All the monsters were terrified of Naruto because of the aura that he gave off. It was like a beta looking at the alpha and realizing that they were out of their depth. And as for the traps, Naruto was able to see them quite clearly. So all was needed was Team 7's speed, which had proven to be much greater than many thought. So here they were. The problem was they had to wait around for a very long time. On the last day, Naruto was situated on the roof, with Sakura leaning on his shoulder, as she was in the process of falling asleep. She had no idea when it happened, but her and Naruto became such good friends. She trusted him, as she had to say. She was glad with how her team was set out. At first, she was just so happy to be on the same team as Sasuke, but Naruto was just so kind, compassionate, and caring. All around a wonderful person. And you couldn't help but just be attached to him. She was swept off her feet as he picked her up bridal style and brought her back to the room for her to get some good night's sleep. Strangely enough, most would believe that things were not as innocent as it seems, but they were actually as innocent as it seems. Sakura just admired Naruto so much. And Naruto also cared for her. She was his teammate. She was someone important to him. A precious person. As Naruto was making his way, he spotted someone. The person was trying to hide away from him, as Naruto pretended like he did not see the individual, as he made his way towards his room. The next day, all the participants that were there were lined out. There was only one team that made it from the Kumo selection, and it was the strongest one amongst them. The only team that was sent from the Land of Sound was residing there as well. Konoha had most participants, and the Sand team was there as well. They had to have a preliminaries. The numbers were just too ridiculous. Hayate was given the reins after Hiruzen said his speech. With that done and said, Hayate pointed their attention towards a board. It started to cycle through names. The first name to pop up was Sasuke Uchiha, as Naruto's gaze was fixated on the door though. Someone had exit the exams. A boy known as Kabuto Yakuji. They met him in the first phase as well. However, Naruto said nothing as he focused back, looking up on who Sasuke was going up against. His opponent was Zaku of the Sound. Both Naruto and Sakura wish him luck. As they made their way up, Zaku was confident. His intention was clear that Sasuke stood no chance against him. As the battle was given the go-ahead, the both of them attack each other with a ferocity. However, Zaku was just using this to pull Sasuke close. He released a powerful technique, a decapitating earwave, intending on blowing Sasuke's head off. However, Sasuke was also bringing him close as well. Zaku hit Sasuke head on. Sasuke slammed viciously into the wall. As he collapsed and crumbled, Zaku made his way towards him as Sasuke struggled to stand. Delivering a brutal kick, he sent Sasuke down to the ground. As Sasuke was out like a light, Zaku turned with a smile only to see that no one was there. Confusion marred his face as he couldn't quite understand just what in the world was going on. That is when he heard it, a strange sensation. Immediately the ground cracked open as something grabbed his leg and started yanking him under. All he could see was shadows, and inside of that shadow was two pair of Sharingan. He screamed. In the outside world, Sasuke chopped him in the neck as he collapsed unconscious. The match barely lasted a minute. Zaku was placed under Sasuke's illusion the moment he looked into his eyes. He was a fool to do so. Sasuke walked away with an arrogant stride. After all, he's proven himself to be more than capable. The Kumo team was keeping a good eye on him. Not bad, but not great either, Karu said. Samui said nothing, as Amoy simply watched Uchiha made his way up. Other members participate, such as Shikamaru, facing off against Kin. Using his mind, he was able to come out on top. Sakura name was called to face off against Ino. As this match ended within 2 minutes. Ino was very smart and capable, but it didn't seem like she had been putting in a lot of effort. Sakura didn't want to hurt her too bad, as Sakura was prepared for her technique. Being a genius and all, she knew many things regarding other clans. After all, in the academy, she was one of the top academics. Ino was lying on her back flat after a punch, out like a light. Kurenai was impressed that Kakashi had been putting the work with Sakura, as the girl had seemed to be growing phenomenally. Despite her going up against one of her own, Kurenai liked to see the young Kunoichis of the village thrive. Other matches took place as Naruto stood there, having been the only one amongst his team that had not been able to participate just as yet. When his name was finally called, he would be facing off against Dosu, calmly making his way down there. Both of his teammates had lost, and Dosu did not intend to lose right here. Kakashi and the others were watching Naruto. Let's see what your youthful student can do, Kakashi, my guy said, as he kept on speaking, but Kakashi turned towards him. Did you say something, Guy? Causing Guy to collapse on the ground out of sheer frustration. The Kumo team was watching Naruto, especially Samui. There was something about him, something off. It was the way he acted, so calm, like nothing fazed him. Limited interaction told her that. As Naruto stood in front of Dosu, who wasn't someone of many words. It wasn't often that Naruto get to show off a bit. After all, things are mostly serious, but this was not. You can't win, said Naruto. What was that, said Dosu. I said you can't win. There's no possible way that you can be victorious after this battle. And I can think of 252 ways to immobilize you without reaching anywhere close to you, said Naruto. Dosu chuckled a bit under his breath. A cocky one, huh? Well, that is what I love to hear. Because people like you tend to suffer the most because of that rude attitude of yours. You believe so? If anyone is cocky is your friend, and he got knocked out by my teammate, said Naruto. But, go ahead. I'll even give you the first shot. Arrogant. I like it, said Karu. I bet you would, Amoy said. What was that? She shouted at him. As everyone looked down on the match that was taking place, Dosu decided to end this quickly as he attacked Naruto head on. His intention was clear as he swung. Naruto weaved under his punch. Dosu then smirked it was over. But Naruto did not move. Dosu was confused as he released the sound wave once again. But Naruto still did not move. Dosu swing as Naruto duck, wondering why those gadgets on your hands are not working. The sound pattern is rather unusual. Powerful. Modification that was done to those are quite impressive, Naruto said. However, Naruto held his hand out. Dosu was confused as Naruto started to manipulate something in front of him. What the hell is that, said Dosu. Soundwave, said Naruto. I can control them rather well. Wanna hear? Naruto merely snapped his finger as a soundwave was released. Everyone grimaced as they heard it, and they were a distance away. Dosu, on the other hand, was right in the dead center. He was thrown. The wave was so violent and powerful. I call that one sound amplification, said Naruto. I hope you like. I apologize, you can't hear me. Because you're unconscious, Naruto said. As the sound team was watching Naruto dangerously, it seems like he was someone to worry about. Making his way up, having shown off a bit. Samui proved herself to be something far more dangerous than the other Genins thought as well. Her opponent was Kiba, who got his ass kicked. She didn't even use any sort of weapons. Her speed was flawless for her age. Her precise strikes knocked Kiba down before he could even fully react. Karu went up against Kabuta's teammate that was there. She was a violent type. The match ended with him receiving some burns. Omoi went up against the last teammate. It looked like he was about to lose because of his own laziness and overthinking, but in the end he pulled it off. As the rest of the matches took place, a few gruesome matches that were rather unsavourable. Meanwhile, nearby watching all of this was Kabuta Yakuji. His gaze was fixated mostly on Naruto as he was watching him so carefully. Meanwhile that was going on, Haku stood at the waterfall as she seemed to be taking a few deep breaths. However, in front of her was a truly immaculate feat that she just performed. Beyond immaculate. He was right. There is no limit to my potential, she said. But guys, let me end episode right here. If you want to see the next person do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notifications they posted. But I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace, guys.